What's your reaction to what you've heard so far?
I can actually believe lots of political sort of conspiracy theories, and simply because we do find things out that we didn't know. I mean, how many of us knew about the rendition flights until recently? And I mean, there's an awful lot that we do find out about our own governments as well. But I think the thing we do have here is a very good press, that it tends to be to investigate things quite a lot. And I do think with something like 9/11, I think if there were conspiracies to find, we would find.
You're talking about scale.
Yeah, but sometimes with America, because of this sort of sense of patriotism, when horrible things come out, you often feel as though people are blind to it, they're not willing to accept it. And America has done some terrible things, and if that's take Vietnam and the My Lai massacre, where they murdered innocent people in that particular
and then punished the people that are perpetrated.
Yeah, they did, but it's one of those things that never becomes as big a scandal as it ought to.
Please just add something to that. Exactly. We now have the Bush order, the executive order, over the memos from John Yoo and Alberto Gonzales, the Attorney General and his minion, ordering the military who refused to torture people to do it, and then when they got caught, Bush had the people he ordered prosecuted. And let me just add something that's closer to home. The BBC, the Times of London, the Sunday Times, scores of publications reported, not the Downing Street memo, the White House memo, where Blair is meeting with Bush, and Bush says, and this has been declassified, and not declassified, it was leaked, and Bush said, yes, it's real, Blair said it's real, and we're going to prosecute whoever released it, but Blair said no. Bush said, let's paint a U.S. plane, have it be a drone, fly it low, paint it up as a UN, hoping some of Saddam's people shoot it down. Then we can say that Saddam shot down a UN aircraft, and then Tony Blair said, no, we're not going to be part of that, and then British intelligence did leak that.
Amazing. So, Alex, sorry to interrupt there. Mike Rudin, I'm having to take Alex at face value here, and God, these are stuff I just don't know about. Is that true? Do you know that's true, that conversation happened, that Bush proposed that as an idea?
Do you know
anything about that?
I've heard vaguely. I don't know the exact details. And that's the thing with a lot of the things that Alex is mentioning here. I don't know. What I have done is look in detail at things like 9/11, and whenever I've gone through those things and things that have been raised by Alex, which I think it's right to look into, and I think if someone raises a valid question about things, it's right. I haven't in detail. If you ask me a simple question, have I? I haven't. I don't know the full background of that.
Well,
I do about Downing Street memo, and I saw it. And but it is not what he's talking about. He's talking about another memo, and I haven't seen it in detail.
Okay,
I don't know. I know a lot, and I've studied the Iraq war in detail, but I don't know that.
Well, Alex, we're going to come back to you, I'm afraid. So what I'm saying is we're talking about conspiracy theories on 5 Live, if you just joined us. Hello. The problem for conspiracy theories is we all get hung up on the 9/11, the Diana ones, and of course they're essentially nonsense, and they can be proved to be nonsense. There's all these others that clearly there's often a degree of truth to, but people dismiss conspiracy theories because they think of them as just being Roswell, Diana, 9/11, and JFK's assassination. We've got a couple of things to do, and then we'll come back to this discussion. 0500 909 693. Conspiracy theories, is there any truth to them? Which ones do you believe in? If you want to have a go at those big ones, if you still believe that no one landed on the moon, hey, let's hear from you. I mean, you're wrong, but let's hear from you. So, is there any truth to conspiracy theories? Stuart in Londonderry. Hello, Stuart.
Good evening.
Good evening. What do you say?
Well, it's so much a conspiracy theory as a 15th century mystery. When I was living in France about 15, 20 years ago, I read this paperback book about Joan of Arc.
Yes.
And, according to this French historian, she didn't die at the stake at all.
What?
It was a drunken or drugged prostitute that shared the same prison as her, who was put to the stake. And that, in fact, Joan of Arc survived and left and married her childhood sweetheart and had a couple of kids and died at the age of 43 or something.
Yeah, that's true, that one. That's definitely true.
Well, wait a minute now. The reason that he gave the explanation of why she was survived was because she was the illegitimate daughter of the King of France. And that, the fact that why she had the power over the armies that fought England at the time, that her power came from the fact that she was the illegitimate daughter of the king. If you think the King of France, France wasn't united as we know it now, the territory, until about maybe 100 years later. You had the Duke of Burgundy, Duke of Normandy, Aquitaine, and so forth.
Yeah.
And there's still the modern in the modern day, we still talk of Ile-de-France, the district around Paris, about a couple of 100 miles or so radius of Paris, and that's all the King of France was in charge of.
Right.
And as I say, he according to him, that she
had his daughter, Joan of Arc.
Well, so Joan of Arc, and she grew up in Remy, R-E-M-Y, and Arc, A-R-C, Jeanne d'Arc, and is her name in French, and that's why she had the power. And in fact, she didn't die at the stake at all. It was this poor girl was drugged and burned in her stead.
We shall leave that one there. If our guests want to respond to that, they may. It's still interesting. I mean,
it sounds like a good one for Dan Brown. That
it does, doesn't it?
Sequel.
I mean, I guess one of those things. There's no evidence for any of it. You could just write a book and say anything you like, can't you, about things that happened in the 15th century. Let's get David in Suffolk. Hello, David.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. You've got a conspiracy theory that you believe in. What is it?
Well, it's about a building that fell down, apparently, mysteriously, about 3 hours after the 9/11. The towers got hit.
Right, yeah, people
the building around the back. It's been well documented, and I was hoping to speak to your American colleague, but I guess he's gone now.
No, he's still there.
Does he know anything about it? I can't remember what it was called. There's a government building.
Building 7. There's actually going to be a BBC documentary about it in a couple of months' time.
Okay, let me bring Alex Jones back in. Alex, before you start ranting and shouting, explain what it is we're talking about here.
Yeah,
listen, first off, I want to be polite. You guys invited me on here. You just had a guy for 3 minutes and 30 seconds talk about Joan of Arc. So let me just have 60 seconds.
Well, I would have made him shorter, Alex, but try not to be rude. And just tell us exactly what this building is.
Let me tell you. First off, it's free. Google Terror Storm, Final Edition, Terror Storm, or Google Endgame, or Google Martial Law. Okay, and it's the first thing that comes up. Google it on video. You can watch my films that cost hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Alex, please, just explain to our listeners what we're talking about. Just tell us what it is.
Planet.com, go to Infowars.com. I'll answer your question right now. Just go to the sites, folks, who want to find out. Let me tell you. BBC reported 26 minutes before Building 7. There were 3 buildings that fell. At 5:25 in the afternoon, a 47-story
5:21.
Oh, come on.
Let me just finish.
Shut up.
Let me just finish. Listen, I'm not talking about Joan of Arc. I'm talking about life and death here. A building housing the FBI and CIA imploded at the speed of gravity. Now, BBC Live, 24 and World, Bill Hayden and Jane Stanley on BBC World reported with it behind them that it had fallen in its own footprint from fires 20-plus minutes before it did. Why is that important? Someone fed them that press release, and we just talked to Mr. Hayton 2 days ago in England, and he said, yes, it sounds suspicious to him. He remembers that they were fed to say that Building 7, a modern steel building, had never fallen from fire. 3 that day, BBC reported this, and now we have firefighters, police, and others on record saying they were told to get back, the government was going to blow it up, and we have CNN footage of police saying, get back, the government's blowing it up. We have all this, and so BBC better try to make documentaries debunking us, because they can't do it, just like Gulf of Tonkin. Listen,
Alex, we've got Alex, don't make me fade you out. I want to go back to other guests to respond to that, because you give me. Remember, most people listening don't know anything about these conspiracy theories. You can't give them too much information at once. David, that's what you're talking about.